we're live. Alex, introduce yourself. Tell everybody a little bit about where you're from, how you hunt, how you're affiliated with who you are.
My name's Alex Nadolski. Born and raised in Michigan, a little bit about an hour north of Detroit. I've been deer hunting since I was 12 years old. I'm 37 now, so I'm going into I think my 26th season. During the day, I'm a title examiner, and at night, I work for REK Broadheads, handling some of their marketing and running their pro and field staff. Um, but yeah, I mainly just bow hunt. Whitetail deer is my true passion. I will turkey hunt a little bit in the spring, but really, deer are what I really love to go after.
Yeah, it sounds kind of similar to how I grew up from northern Wisconsin. So I'm sure the same kind of culture and same kind of hunting atmosphere where you're at.
Oh yeah, it's a big time family, old school kind of deer camp style. I mean, it's changing now with the older generation kind of getting out of hunting a little bit, but that is a tradition in Michigan is just deer camp style hunting. Opening day gun season, most schools up north get it off. Um, but yeah, it's something I love. My whole family's done it. I'm just always been very passionate about chasing deer.
So you said you were heavily involved with broadheads and equipment, and specifically REK broadheads,
Yep.
which, if I'm not mistaken, you guys are based in Michigan, correct?
Correct. Based in Michigan. My buddy Matt and his dad Steve are the owners of the company. We're American made product. They were truly just back in the day kind of frustrated with the expandable market and wanting to make the badass expandable broadhead that's going to last and something that's not just going to pop open on you and malfunction. They wanted to make the best mechanical broadhead out there.
So maybe dive a little bit deeper into that. You mentioned Matt, one of the owners and creators of REK and the brand. Go into a little bit more about that maybe reason why you felt the need to dive into this market. Obviously, it's saturated with so many different broadheads, so many types, and I feel like people can maybe be overwhelmed, I guess, when they're trying to try something new or just starting in hunting. So dive into maybe what you guys offer, why you kind of went the route that you did.
Yeah, so like I said, Matt and his dad Steve started the company. They really just wanted to beef up the expandable broadhead market. So they started back. Our first year in business was 2020, but we obviously they started making broadheads long before that. His dad has worked in the engineering world for a very long time, so they've always been dabbling with different stuff here and there. And honestly, from what I've heard from them, it kind of came down to a bet of Matt told his dad that he couldn't make a broadhead, and they bet a case of beer on it. And his dad went right out to the barn and ended up making a broadhead that they killed a deer with. And they're like, "Wow, this thing's actually pretty decent." So they kept expanding with it. And like I said, we really they started off in the expandable market. The first broadhead they came out with was the XP. It's a 1.85 cut expandable rear deploy. Again, they beefed it up. They made it's super solid ferrule. They made the blades. They're stainless steel. They're a little bit thicker than most other companies, so you don't have to deal with blades breaking anytime you shoot an animal. And then from there, they kind of dabbled into fixed blade broadheads a little bit. I'm actually holding one right here. Um, this is their FX4, which I've personally always been an expandable guy. But when Matt gave me one of these to shoot, first thing I did was shoot it at 50 yards, and the thing was amazing. It was a bullet. It didn't whistle. It didn't come out of the bow looping. I was like, well, that's pretty nice. So I went, took it out of target, put it in the exact same hole. And normally I'm not that good of a shot, but I'm like, all right, this is very impressive fixed blade because honestly, I shot fixed blades as a kid, and again, I just had issues with them grouping and patterning, and you'd have to basically almost tune your bow to your broadhead, which was something that I didn't want to do because for 6 months a year I'm shooting field tips, so I don't want to go from shooting great on a field tip and then have to go and change my bow up just to shoot a broadhead. So that was something I thought that they knocked out of the park with this FX4. It's a four blade 1.25 or 1.1.25 inch cut. It's got a stainless steel blades. It's got aluminum ferrule. And then from there, we kind of just started messing around. Like I said, our original broadhead was the mechanical 1.85 cut. And I always kind of liked a little bit bigger cut on a mechanical, so I pushed them pretty hard, and we came up with the HXP, which is a 2.25-inch cutting diameter mechanical broadhead, and that thing has just been absolutely amazing. I was actually got to be the first person to ever shoot a deer with one, so that was pretty cool, and just the results we've had with it have been amazing.
Cool. You said you have an FX4 there. Why don't you hold that
Yep.
up maybe a little bit closer so people can see it, and then we'll maybe talk a little bit more in detail about that one first. But it looks like it's got four blades total, but it almost looks like two of them act like bleeder blades
Yep. Little smaller bleeder blades on it, and then two bigger blades. It's
because most
super
four
beefy.
blades, and those are replaceable blades, it looks like
Yep.
too.
Yep,
Okay.
you can unscrew the tip right off. This one's been shot through a few animals, so the tip's a little bit lodged on here. But yeah, you just unscrew the tip, pop it right off. Sorry, I didn't have a new one on hand. All my FX4s have been shot.
All good. So just looking at it, is that supposed to help with like flight, having not four big blades like that, or penetration, or kind of both, or kind of explain that a little bit?
A little bit of both, more the flight. Whenever you put four blades that are the exact same size and that big over an inch, you're gonna have issues with flight with it. So when they were testing, they kind of made the blades a little bit smaller, and this thing, like I said, is so deadly accurate. Once they got the bleeder blades to the right size, they were good to go with it.
And one thing that's intriguing that is just different from anything else that I've seen, especially on the replaceable blade fixed market, I guess, is just how big that tip is. Just what with the width and the length on it. It seems like even just with that, it would punch a really decent sized hole.
Yeah, even like if our expandable is always open, that's why we made them, and why we wanted to get into the expandable market. But yeah, this tip, even if they didn't open, if this thing had no blades on it, you could kill animals with just that tip, and that's something people love. It's bone crushing, and they put four sides to it. That way, um, if it hits bone, it's more likely to deflect instead of sticking into it. And like these things are just beefy, just along with the blades. Like I said, our blades are 39 thousandths, which is thicker than most. So you really don't have to worry about blades bending or breaking, anything like that. But again, you just unscrew the tip, and there's just two blades you slide right in.
And that's the nice thing to have that flexibility too, because I know I've shot some different replaceable blade heads before, and the ferrule might hold up, sometimes not, but the blades were usually, one and done, which they're made to be able to be replaced, but to have them just be able to hold up and resharpen them if you want to do that, it's super nice.
Like I said, this one's actually been through a deer already, and you can see there's not even a nick. If I can get it in the camera, there's not even a nick on any one of the blades. Like I'll reshoot it at another deer.
Yeah, that's always nice to be able to shoot it through multiple animals. Then you kind of touched on it a little bit too. You guys are all made in the United States. You're
Yep.
okay.
Yep. Pretty much everything is coming out of Mayo, Michigan. We were getting some parts from Ohio, but I believe they moved everything up to Mayo, Michigan now. But what
Which
I love about this again is the accuracy of it. I am
mhm.
still a mechanical guy, but I will run two of these in my quiver and two HXPs in my quiver, and they both shoot identical. Again, no tuning your bow to it. And in different situations, if I'm hunting public land where I don't think I'm going to get that perfect broadside shot, I will put this on, and this is what I'm my go-to for like a public land hunt, or if I was in a spot and stalk situation, or if you were wanting to go out and shoot elk or some bigger type of game than whitetail deer, this is definitely the one to use. And like I said, it's awesome just because it shoots identical to your expandable.
And that's a big holdup for a lot of people. Is a lot of guys like that and are more comfortable with a fixed blade just because there's no moving parts. Even though
Mm-hmm.
technology has come a long way, and I from the ones that I've shot, at least the last couple of years, it seems like most of them open. Like the big thing with people is they're scared that they won't open and they won't work correctly, and that's understandable. But I feel like in the last at least 5-6 years, things have come so far, and you don't really have to worry about that anymore. But for the people that maybe are a little uneasy and they're way more confident, no moving parts on that fixed blade, that looks like a really good option. I'm definitely going to look into that because a lot of the hunting I do is on the ground. So with in that scenario, there's a lot of weird angles, and a
Mm-hmm.
lot of times there's brush in your way, which a lot of people don't really think about, like what's in between you and the animal. Which with a fixed blade, you could maybe get through some of that. With an expandable, you might, you know, set it off because a lot of them are um, pretty sensitive as far as how many
Mm-hmm.
pounds of pressure it takes to open. So it's something to think about. But I definitely am a expandable person if I had to pick one. But with hunting more on the ground the last few years, I feel like that FX4 is definitely something I'm going to look into for sure. But how about we maybe move on to the HXP? I think I have one laying here, or unless you do too.
Yep, I got one too.
Perfect.
Yep, this is the HXP. This is the 2.25-inch cut mechanical. Same ferrule, same blade thickness, everything. It's got a little spring steel retention clip in there that holds your blades in it, which actually gives you, a little bit of spring action here so it won't pop open. Again, kind of what we were talking about, just hunting on the ground. If you were to do that and hit it, nick it, or something like that, you don't have to totally worry about it deploying, but it only takes 3.8 pounds of pressure to open this bad boy up.
Sure. And that's got the same exact
Same
same tip.
exact chisel tip. Yep.
So for someone that uses both and they want to buy, I'm guessing you probably sell replacement tips as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Yep,
Okay.
replacement
So
blades, replacement tips you guys can get. Again, these tips are so tough that most of the time you don't have you'll need them, but yeah, if you were to need them or something, we do can get them to you.
which you hardly ever see with, other companies when they have, five, six different heads having, parts that can interchange between different heads. Cause I know a lot of guys like messing with different heads is super nice.
So
What's the cut on that one? Over 2 inch?
2.25-inch cut, and honestly, because of their spring steel blade or the spring steel clip that holds them in, once it opens, we're actually getting slap cuts of up to 3 inches on these or over 3 inches. We've seen some really gnarly slap cuts when those blades release. And again, I'm a bow hunter. I don't even gun hunt anymore, but I tend to shoot for the deer in the shoulder. And the first two deer I shot with these, I shot the very first deer was a doe, shot her right through both shoulders. It blew through both of them. Um, we did end up adding another brace here on one of the blades just to make it even stronger right at the bend. And then the first buck I shot was I drew an Iowa tag in 2023, and same thing. I blew it right through both of his shoulders too, and it came out just fine.
Sure. And yeah, that's something that I've had to kind of learn over the years when listening to a bunch of people and just shooting a lot of stuff is with expandables, just having to aim, you almost have to make a marginal aiming point or a marginal spot to feel safe when you're using a big cut on contact where, um, you're aiming 6, 8 inches behind the shoulder in the middle of the deer just to make sure you're not hitting any of that hard bone when you have something like you guys looks like you've made there that can withstand shoulder, then it just makes you just so much more confident, I feel like, and you don't have to take that split second and worry about where you're aiming. I think everybody's initial gut reaction is to put it right in that crease, right close to the shoulder.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's what people are comfortable with and you make something that people can do that, I feel like that's nice to not have to alter where you're aiming and have the broadhead, it's going to work and it's going to hold up.
Yeah, I actually went to an outfitter long, long time ago. And first thing when we got there, this was way before REK was even around. They're like, don't aim anywhere close to the shoulder, just shoot them in the guts, and we'll find them the next day, especially if you're shooting expandable broadhead. And I'm like, well, yeah, you're finding your deer the next day, half eaten by coyotes. You just wasted all the meat. And that's one of the reasons these things are just so tough. One of the things we test them on, my neighbor actually is a deer processor and cow processor. So he gives me all the shoulder blades from the cows. And that's one of the things we test them on. So if we test them on that, they handle deer shoulders with no
Right.
problem.
And that's like just kind of touching more on that, not to get in down a rabbit hole about where to aim and things like that, because I know it's kind of a sensitive topic for people, but um, I feel like the goal when you're hunting should be to make that animal, expire as soon as it possibly can. To have to go in wanting to and or telling someone shoot a animal in the guts or further, that far back is just I don't know, it blows my mind a little bit. And I
A
feel
little
like,
inhumane.
yeah, I would, I mean, whether or not how long, I don't have any of the studies or stats or anything about, how long it takes for certain areas. And I feel like I've seen um, a lot of deer that were, liver guts, back of the diaphragm, whatever. They can live for days.
Hmm.
Um, you get a dog, you jump it up how many times days later, and then eventually it might, expire. But I feel like the lungs, the heart, all the stuff you want to hit to make it expire within eyesight, which is the goal every time, is, tucked behind that shoulder. So to not have to worry about that's pretty huge.
Yeah, because in the moment of truth, there's so much going through your head and everything feels so rushed. You don't need to be thinking, oh, what broadhead am I shooting and where do I need to shoot it? Oh, I need to pull back off the shoulder further. No, you just want to put it right on the animal where you want and let it rip.
And anyone that's hunted for long enough or, shot enough things, like it, you can hit a little stick and it can deflect a couple inches or whatever. And like we kind of already said, be able to just put it on the shoulder, not worry about it, and know your stuff's gonna do what it needs to do. The thing looks super mean. I guess I see there too, on the end of the blades. It looks like they're almost swept back at an angle.
Yep.
I don't remember if you touched on that at all. Um,
Yep, they are swept back a little bit. That is for increased penetration due to such a large cut. And again, we've definitely noticed that when I've said we've blown through multiple shoulders, bull shoulders, and it goes all the way through. But yeah, just a little bit swept back, just a touch, just that way. So just to gain a little bit more penetration. Again, shooting these broadheads, you do want to be shooting close to 70 pounds, if not over. But that's where our XPs come in. That's a little bit smaller cutting diameter that you can shoot for lower poundage. Or some people really like to shoot expandables on big game like elk. So we've had XPs do very well against elk.
Gotcha. Yeah, because I know a lot of states. I haven't really looked into, and I don't want to say anything that's. I'm not an expert in anything, and the rules of those states. I haven't been there, or hunted there, but um, I've heard from people. A lot of those Western states, the ones that even do allow expandables, it only has to be a certain diameter of cut. It can't be over so many inches
Mm-hmm.
wide.
Yeah, a lot of
So
them won't even let you use expandables, which is another great thing about the FX4 is because it shoots identical. You just grab that and toss that in your quiver.
so you said you had the HXP there, the FX4, and then the
The XP, which I don't
XP.
have one laying around right now,
That's just a
but it is,
smaller,
yep,
just a smaller cut
identical
of
to
that.
this, just smaller cut, smaller straight blades on it. You can honestly swap them out if you wanted bigger blades or smaller blades on them. But yeah, ferrule's same, tip same, and the clip's the same.
And how long have is the HXP newly released? How long have you guys had that?
This last year was the first year that we released it to the public. And this is
Okay,
honestly now our number one seller. And we do have, between us and our viewers, our listeners, we do have a little upgraded model of this hopefully coming out this fall,
okay,
which I wish
cool.
I could give more details, but if I did, it would give it away.
Right, yeah. It looks like from what I've seen and heard, everybody's really loving that, and it seems like you guys have kind of gained a lot of recognition over the last couple years. I just seen some magazine that I'm not sure if you guys posted it on your Instagram or your Facebook or something that you were featured in. I don't know if it was Bowhunter magazine or one of the magazines.
It might have been Bowhunter. Matt runs our social media, so I didn't get to make the post. So otherwise, I
Sure.
probably would have remembered which magazine it was in. But yeah, we are definitely gaining a lot of traction. We've been doing as many big shows as we can, and trying now to get out to more of the open to public shows. We did a few TAC events last year. Next year, we do plan on getting out to a lot of the consumer shows as well.
Gotcha. And I feel like that's just because, you know, when you make a good product, I feel like word travels way faster than you even expect or think it would.
Yeah.
Because you guys haven't been around for really that long, by the sounds of it.
No, 2020. So this is our fifth year in it. Um, it's definitely been a battle, but yeah, if you, our goal is if you can make the product, you're gonna have the customers, and the idea was to make just the best, toughest broadheads on the market.
And that's being made in Michigan. like a
Yep.
lot of things are, you might pay. I don't think your heads are any more expensive than a lot of premium heads out there, but that's one thing that I think holds a lot of people up from, that are maybe newer to the sport or haven't shot multiple types of heads or don't know kind of what direction to go is that price tag. And the fact that it's made in the US, I think people are starting to maybe come back around, at least the last year or two, about, the old buy once, cry once, buying something that's made in the US and the quality is going to be there and the customer service is going to be there. You're going to talk to someone who, is located in the States. Usually that's the experience I've had at least. So, what do you think? Um, was the biggest driver of making sure, starting a new company, I feel like it could maybe be tempting to use materials or parts from overseas just because you can get it in people's hands for maybe a little bit cheaper. But what was kind of the mindset behind going all made in the US?
Yeah, definitely could get parts a lot cheaper if we went overseas, but yeah, truly wanted to stay US made. That's something that we all believe in. Matt and his dad truly believe in. So that is our goal to keep everything here. We know we're in a pretty wild world right now. There's different things going on, and we've really seen a lot of benefit of being USA made.
We kind of went over the different heads and kind of the technology behind them and um, the specifics, I guess. Um, what what's your pitch to someone or someone new coming into bow hunting for like the first year? Let's say this is their first year. It's getting to that time after 4th of July. Everybody's trying to get their gear dialed in. Um, Someone who has no experience, what broadhead would you, I guess, recommend for them? Or maybe go into that a little bit.
Really, I would kind of find out their bow setup, really how many pounds they're shooting, what their draw length is, and from there, kind of go if they're shooting a lower poundage bow and a real new, I'd probably have them shoot the fixed blade, the FX4, just because again, it's fail safe. There's absolutely nothing can go wrong with it. If they are shooting a heavier poundage bow, closer to 70 pounds, I would definitely, again, if we're talking for like whitetail deer, I would definitely talk them into the HXP. Really, my sales pitch is I just show people the pictures of the entrance holes that I've killed the deer with, and that kind of just sells them themselves. Um, Again, really just holding them compared to other broadheads, you can just feel how different they are, how much more quality is put into these than a lot of the other brands. But again, it really comes down to what animal that they're hunting and what their bow setup is. But again, I shoot both of them. I have two HXPs in my quiver and two FX4s in my quiver, so you can't go wrong with either one. So it really just kind of comes down to setup and people's preference. People, I've learned helping out REK that people are super strong if they like mechanicals or if they like fixed, and it's very tough to get people to try different ones. But yeah, really, it comes down to setup and kind of animal that they're hunting.
So, okay, they're gonna try rec this year. Um, they have no preference, fixed or mechanical. Like I said, they're brand new. Um, Maybe let's dive a little bit into what setups are maybe catered a little bit better towards an expandable versus a fixed.
So if you're shooting, like I said, 70 pounds, a draw length of 27 inches or longer, or if you're shooting crossbow, these are all crossbow approved as well. I would probably definitely go for the HXP, give you a little bit bigger cut, better or blood trail. Again, that can honestly even come down to people's vision. Like if people have tough vision, and I've had people that are colorblind come up to us, so I'll definitely recommend like an HXP because you're gonna get a lot more blood. Normally these animals go down in a hurry. I don't know if I've had a deer go over 50 yards with one yet. Um, but again, if you're shooting, say 60 pounds or less, I would push you towards the FX4. Just again, just you'll get more penetration with it. The hole's gonna be a little bit smaller. You're gonna get a little bit less of a blood trail. Um, but again, it's fail safe. There's nothing mechanical. There's nothing moving on it. Um, And again, it also comes down to their hunting preference. If you're hunting from a tree stand, if you're hunting from the ground, if you're more of a ground hunter, I would probably go with the FX4. If you're a public land hunter, probably FX4. But if you have private land and you're going to get that ideal broadside shot at 20 yards, then a mechanical again is, I would go with a mechanical because just equipment these days is so good. Arrows are so good, bows are so good. Mechanical broadhead is just going to absolutely eat that animal up really quick. Um, I've hunted for so long that I've been on some really long blood trails. So again, I think that's why I prefer mechanical broadheads. It just makes the animal a little bit easier to cover. And again, it goes to the ethical side, always trying to put the animal down as quick as possible. Um, but again, you really can't go wrong with either one. It's just if you're shooting under 60 pounds, I would shoot a fixed blade. Honestly, no matter what brand of broadhead you're shooting. Hopefully, you're shooting REK, but no matter what brand, shoot a fixed blade if you're shooting under 60 pounds or under 55. Anything over that, I would think you're just fine to go to an expandable.
Yep. And that's kind of the experience that I've had also. I think I started out, I couldn't tell you the brand of broadhead I used when I first started when I was, 12, 10. I think we can start here in Wisconsin at 10 with a mentor. Um, I think it was like a small four blade fixed, kind of looks like the FX4, but it was four even blades. It didn't have the bleeders, so it didn't penetrate all that well. And it had replaceable blades. Shot a few deer with that and never really got pass throughs with it. And then have shot expandables, I think, for like the last probably 10 years and never have had an issue. They've saved me a lot and they've never hurt me. So I feel like I'm in that kind of boat where it hasn't hurt me, so I'm going to keep rolling with it. And it's saved me, I don't know how many times. I like to think I'm a good shot and I practice a lot, but just that bigger cut, it's helped me a couple times for sure. And like you said, it's just naturally going to give you a better blood trail, which a lot of guys, especially crossbow guys, like you said, tend to be maybe a little bit older, um, and or colorblind. I know a lot of people that, funny enough, just are that hunt are colorblind, and
Mm-hmm.
then bringing them along to try to blood trail, it's just like it's kind of funny to try to watch them do it. But there's guys get super good at it. But um, yeah, I think um, I'll probably be rolling with the HXP honestly this year. Give it a try. I've always been a bigger cut, expandable guy, so we'll roll with that and see kind of how they perform. I have no doubt that they're going to be work like they should. So I'm
Yeah,
excited about that.
that is my go-to. Like I said, though, I do have two FX4s in my quivers for those on the ground hunts or public land hunts. But yeah, the expandable is definitely with how good bows are nowadays, and like you said, just in case you do make a bad shot, we all practice a ton, but it's bow hunting. Things happen. You hit branches, weird stuff happens. Animals can turn at times. I think this just gives you the best luck all around to if something bad happens that the bigger cut is going to help you out.
For sure. And then you kind of talked about it too, just kind of putting a bow on this whole recommendation for someone who's newer, um, and then having that uh, maybe lower poundage bow, that fixed blade. Uh, the reason that you recommend that, I guess, is because with a lower poundage bow, you're not going to get the penetration, you're not going to have that energy behind the arrow, and then having those two blades like the FX4 has with the two bleeders, that's just going to obviously penetrate better with less poundage and less energy just because there's less surface area trying to go through the animal.
Yep, with less poundage, less energy, your chance of getting a pass through with this is much better than getting a pass through with an expandable. Yeah, we have our these are rear deploy, so your entrance hole is bigger, but still, any hunter knows that you want to get two holes in the animal, not just one. So whatever you can use to better your odds of getting two holes in the animal than one is what you want to go with. So if you are shooting, that's really what the fixed blade will give you a better chance of it getting all the way through that deer.
And if people want to see, I do believe you guys just made some videos on all your heads, right?
Yep.
Some like destruction, some shooting them through those cow shoulders you were talking about, some accuracy stuff.
Yep. On our
What
page, we have a bunch of different videos. We've shot them through cow shoulders, gel, plywood, steel. all different kinds of stuff. We also have some hunts on there too, so you can see them going through live animals. Like we really try to just test them and through any crazy stuff that we can just to see what happens. So keep trying to make them better and better.
And then you said you can't say too much about it, but what does the future of REK kind of look like as far as, or the future maybe of the entire broadhead space? Because I feel like you guys came in not late, but you jumped into this big pool, jumped in the deep end, and within a couple of years, you're creeping up there towards the upper echelon, like very popular for good reason. Um, what do you think maybe the next 5 years looks like?
Well, like I said, we're hoping to have one more out this year, a little different version of the HXP. From there, we've kind of discussed a lot of things. Really, is just we want to just be known for having the best broadhead, undeniably known. The broadhead space is very tough because there's so many people in it. There's so many companies that will make 14 different broadheads on their line, which is pretty crazy. Like, why? That's a lot of different broadheads to use. We try to keep our line of broadheads simple, clean, and just peak performance, just being the toughest. As you can see, there's been even another broadhead. I don't want to throw names out there, but another broadhead name that's out there that's pretty big already. So I feel like the broadhead space is constantly trying to evolve as much as it possibly can. Like I said, there's just been so much stuff out there that's been done. So for us, I think is just fine tuning what we have right now and just trying to make it perfect. But there has been some other ideas of maybe dabbling into some arrows or some complete setups of you can buy a broadhead arrow and lighted nock all together. So you don't have to go shopping around for different brands of all those. You can just buy one package. Everything's all set up. So there's some things discussed there, but really just focusing on making the broadheads as best as they possibly can be.
Yeah, that seems like a good idea, and I know some other people have done that, which caters really well to the newer guy like we were talking about. Just having been able to pick out an arrow, you don't have to worry about the spine. That's already you put in your specs on what your bow is, and then you pretty much here's a half a dozen, here's a dozen arrows, all in spec, cut to length, just super like user friendly, and then tipped with obviously the REK Broadhead. I would assume you guys would recommend, like we kind of talked about, for your poundage and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like a really good idea. Yeah, we were talking about what you guys are kind of as a company, were what the next 5 years looks like, and you kind of touched on it too, um, as far as the entire broadhead space, what it'll look like in the next 5 years. It's kind of hard to predict, but it seems like someone comes out with something and then everybody else kind of catches up. And it seems like it's always quicker and quicker that everybody else catches up. And it kind of maybe talk a little bit about how other companies or other broadheads motivate you to make yours stand out.
Really, a lot. Like again, the motivation for even the company starting was just broadheads that were not working for us. Again, bow hunting is tough. Then when your equipment fails, it is very frustrating. And it seems to always fail in the worst possible time ever. Um, so really, just trying to uh, fix anything that can possibly go wrong so that there's never almost like a fixed blade broadhead, so there's nothing that can ever possibly go wrong with it. It's going to perform the same every time. um, it's just like I said, there's so many broadheads out there right now. The market's so flooded. It is a little bit tricky to come out with completely new ideas because so much has been done. And again, it comes down to the arrow flying straight. You can only do so much before that arrow just doesn't fly straight at all. I've done a lot of broadhead testing on my own, just out back, all bunch of broadheads I've just had laying around, shot them, and it was shocking how many were not accurate at like 12 yards. So really for us trying to evolve as much as possible, but staying in that perfect performance of arrow flight, weight, and just making something that's not just going to destroy as soon as it hits something. That's another thing I've seen testing some broadheads is as soon as your ferrule hits something hard, it kind of explodes. Um, so just keeping it beefed up, but it's just it's a real fine line there when you're kind of tweaking with broadheads and arrow flight. I'm just, it kind of sounds confusing, but it's really tough to do.
And if you look
But
at a
yeah,
lot of if you look at a lot of things, it seems like, especially broadheads, the ones that have been around forever, even, uh, you either you get one thing and you sacrifice two other things. It seems
yep,
like you get an accurate broadhead that pretty much one and done. You shoot it and it could be, go through a soft part of an animal, like further back, like guts, full pass through and lay on the ground, not hit any rocks, not anything, and it's still bent and, unusable again. So I know it is for me, and it sounds like you too. Like the number one thing for you is accuracy. And I know it is for me. That's a huge thing, being able to trust where it's going to hit, where you're aiming. Um, because I feel like hitting things in a hunting scenario, things happen fast. Having confidence in your equipment's huge. It seems like something that should be um, prioritized, and definitely that's number one on my list for broadheads is accuracy. And it seems like a lot of ones out now have kind of all are there or close to there, but the next thing is making sure everybody kind of makes them so that they can be reused and making the quality maybe a little bit better. But it seems like all of yours, that's, hitting all those things. Uh,
yeah, because if the accuracy's there, I mean, you can kill an animal with a field tip if you hit in the right spot, and then you add some blades that are going to put 2 inch cut in it, and you're going to put it down in a hurry. Um, so yeah, like accuracy is number one, and strength is number two. Like I said, the new broadhead that we're coming out with this fall, or working on coming out this fall, I got to test it last fall, and going back to the durability of it, was able just to pop it right back in my quiver and was good to go for another shot. Like something that means a lot to me too. Um, Ease of the product, the functionality has to be pretty simple where not too much can ever go wrong because again, bow hunting, everything happens so fast. Where I've seen some broadheads that are like or expandables that just the way they deploy, yeah, they seem to work every time, but there's so many moving parts in it that it just adds to the chance of something going wrong.
right. You look at
So
it and it's got three different rubber bands on it or clips, or some of them don't have any kind of retention system, and it might be bulletproof, and they might have tested it a bunch of times and shot a bunch of stuff. It's just like that thing in the back of your head, just second guessing it. But um, I guess let's maybe shift before we get off of here. I'm a person that likes stories. I like, just that deer camp type of, atmosphere. Maybe this will prompt me to think of something, but um, obviously for you to be involved in a broadhead company and, have that drive, you said you and Matt and his dad wanted to start something that's the best and make it so that no one can ever say that I shot REK and it didn't work for me or it failed me. I guess that's the worst case scenario. Um, what's maybe a story or one experience you've had that made you say, yeah, we need to make something that's better than this because what's out there is not good enough?
um, again, I don't, without saying brands, I've always been a mechanical guy since I think I was 14. I started shooting mechanical broadheads because I was pulling back a little harder poundage. But the rubber O rings, that was something that killed me because as soon as you got into late season, those things got cold, brittle, and would snap off. Um, really, the clips that hold the blades in for different other brands were one of our biggest factors, I think, in Matt and Steve starting REK is because there's so many that were just janky. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like I said, and they just didn't hold up to different weather elements. Yeah, rubber band's fine if you're hunting only in October, but if you're hunting in December and January, It's not going to cut it. The plastic clips the same way. It gets brittle, it breaks. Um, so I really think that's what stemmed the fuel for everything, and why we keep trying to make ours even better so nothing like that can ever happen. Um, but yeah, I think that's what wanted me to get involved in and help. Again, Matt and Steve started all this, and I've watched them. Matt and I, first off, Matt, so I probably should start. Him and I have been friends for probably over 15 years. So that's kind of how I got looped into doing all this. I really just wanted to help them out because they work so hard. And every time I go over there, they're always trying to think of something different and a way to make it better. And Steve's always in the barn just testing wild random stuff. And I'll be like, what are you doing? He's like, I'm just going to try to see if this works. Maybe it'll work. If not, we know. And that was what I fell in love with the company for, and wanted to be like, all right, I'm in to help you guys in any possible way that I can, is because they're not okay just settling with anything. They were always trying to be one step ahead, always trying to think of the next thing. And that's what I love about REK.
And that makes, I know as a consumer myself, I feel like that just solidifies the decision to even try. Whether someone uses REK one time and never uses it again, just being able to know, the people behind it are good people. They're always trying to innovate and get better, and they're trying to be the best. And I think it's kind of funny that you kind of brought up at the beginning that this all started in 2020 off of a bet, in the backyard or over a beer or whatever. And then to be sitting, 5 years later to have one of, the rising companies in the industry altogether, honestly, is kind of wild to think about. But
It is. And from what I've heard, Matt still hasn't paid his dad back for that beer bet yet either. He still owes him a case of beer.
I'm sure you'll maybe forget about it for a little bit longer, but I'm sure it's coming. But yeah, I think we covered a lot of good stuff. For someone that wants to look into you guys a little bit further, where can people maybe find your personal, social media or anything about REK?
First off, our website is rekbroadheads.com. If you want to go on there, you can see the products. You can order products right off there as well. Social media is all at REK Broadheads. Yeah, I think YouTube's at REK Broadheads as well. So yeah, you can check out our YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, our website, and hope you guys purchase some heads. And
Yeah,
if
and
you
like you
do, definitely
said,
send them to us. Send us pictures, and so we can see how they worked out for everybody.
and that's a nice thing too. Like you mentioned earlier, on your YouTube, you have not only test videos as far as shooting them through stuff, but you also have hunts. So if people need to see you put them through animals at different angles, up in trees, whatever, you guys have hunts on there too. So if people want to go check that out, they definitely should before buying anything. I know I like to hop on the YouTube and look at anything before I buy it, but
Yep,
I
I'm the same way.
I know I'm happy. I can't wait to shoot something with the HXP this year.
Awesome. I hope
Alrighty.
we all fill our tags this year.
Good luck to everybody. That's for sure. With this heat, it definitely makes anything other than drinking a cold one outside a little tough to get yourself to do for sure.
Right.
But I appreciate you hopping on, talking broadheads. I'm sure you'll be on again in the future. But if I don't talk to you before season starts, it's rapidly approaching. Good luck to you.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me on, and best of luck to you as well.
Absolutely. All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody, for listening.